The Cove is my first attempt ever at creating an aquascape, so I wanted to make a video and document my experiences with creating my first ever aquascape so that you hopefully can get some inspiration from it too. Before I started this aquascape, I had a lot of thoughts about how I wanted to do this. Since this is already an established aquarium, I wanted to make sure that I did not stress out the fish or in other way harm them. I ended up building the aquascape with the fish still inside of the aquarium because I figured that taking them out over into another temporary aquarium and then putting them back would put more stress on them than it would be beneficial to them. The Aquascape is created with Dragonstone, a bunch of my previously used rocks and plants, as well as a couple of new plants, which you can see as we progress through the build. I emptied out about half of the water just to get out any debris from the old scape, which was basically just a random bunch of rocks and plants placed down into the aquarium in a fashion that looked good. The name comes from the way that the Dragonstone inside of the aquascape creates sort of a little cove underneath some of the stones, and I tried to empathize this with plants and tiny rocks to really give that illusion of a small little cove where a fish or likewise would be hiding or just chilling during the daytime. I did my best to visualize what I wanted it to look like before I put them down there, in order to not have to move around too much on the stones once I placed them, because this would hopefully stress out the fish just a little less. I originally thought that creating a small little gateway, so to say, with the driftwood would be a cool idea, but I ended up not going for this as I felt like it created too much of a straight line and not enough variation into the aquarium. I went with a cove-like structure of the Dragonstones in order to really get some depth into the aquarium, because it is only a 12-gallon aquarium and it's really not the biggest one, so you really want to empathize the fact that there is some depth to the aquarium, and one way you can do that is to pull out that depth with the Dragonstone. Since this was done in an already established aquarium, I could not use any sort of glue and likewise stuff, so I had to just stick to getting all of the plants buried deeply enough into the Dragonstone so that they would stick there and hopefully they can root themselves to it as time goes. I made sure not to bury the rhizomes too much so that these would end up rotting. Since this tank is partially a community tank, but also a tank that is supposed to host German blue ram and have them breed, well, then I decided to take some of the old rocks and put them behind some of the Dragonstone. The Dragonstone serves as a natural cover for the German blue rams so that they will not be stressed out by the other fish when they start breeding. The plants in the aquarium consists mostly of Anubias plants and a bunch of Java moss as well. For background plants, I have a bunch of leftover plants from the previous aquarium, but I decided to cut them all the way down simply because of the fact that the bottom parts of the plants were kind of torn up from having just sat there for a long time without being trimmed or anything like that. So those were all cut down and are at the moment quite short, but they will grow to be about as long as the aquarium is high. So that is gonna look way better, and the background is gonna with time be way more filled. I did my best to fill up any gaps in the Dragonstone with Java moss so that these look like one big connected stone. I also have these ferns from a previous aquarium. I am honestly not too excited about the looks of them, so I decided to just trim them all the way down, and if they grow again and look better than they do right now, well then I'm gonna keep them. If they don't really root again and if they end up just perishing, well then it is what it is, and I'm probably gonna replace those with a plant that I feel like fits the aquascape better. I wanted to see if I could integrate this long flat stone here into the aquarium because it's previously been my Plego's favorite stone, and whenever he sits on it he gets this really bright color. So I wanted to see if I could fit it, but sadly it was just not good for the scape. I'm really trying to create a nice cover for the fish in the background so that the GBR won't be stressed as they start breeding. So I took all of the plants and placed them closely around the stones so that once they sit there, they will barely be able to notice all of their tank mates. In order to really get some color variation to the aquarium, I decided to take some of the rotalas and put those in the front as well. Just make sure to trim those a little bit more because we don't want super tall aquarium or super tall plants way at the front of the aquarium. And that's about all of the work that I had to do to make this aquascape look good. I'm super pleased with the result, and I think it looks way better than I would ever think that I would be able to pull off. This has been actually a super cheap scape to do as well. So if you're new to the entire aquarium world and you want to try off with your first scape, well then Dragonstone is a very good choice. I didn't really think myself that I would want to use the Dragonstone because I see so many people do it, but I feel like the result really speaks for itself.